Hello and welcome to the Week 6 previews. This week we're joined by Brasher, the usual turkey, and we have three special guests in Sven, Shuttlesworth and Aussiedude. So we're not going to preview every single game. What we're going to do is a bit of a different approach than what we've done in the past, which is a really quick-fire prediction, shall we say, noting that this is also probably only the second week that we've had bye weeks, but also there's a bit of uncertainty because of a number of emerging COVID tests about exactly what the weekly schedules are going to look like. So we're just going to pick some really high-profile games. And also because two of our guests in Sven and Shuttlesworth are Vikings fans, we're going to start with the Falcons-Vikings game. For those that have been under a rock, this will be the Falcons' first game, not coached by Dan Quinn in quite a number of years. Sven, I'll kick to you first. Is Kirk Cousins going to benefit, or will it be a case of Matt Ryan throws off the shackles and throws for 500 yards against the Vikings?
Oh, look, I think, and it's becoming very much a trend with the Vikings recently, is that the only way they can win games is in a shootout, and it'll be just whoever wins the most gets the most points, but it won't be a low-scoring affair. I think both defences will give up plenty of points. And however, I do think the Vikings will be favoured. But, of course, with no crowd, the Vikings have lost their home ground advantage, which was quite significant. I think they had the biggest hometown advantage in the NFL going into this season. But with no crowds, they don't have it. So, you got the new coach thing, all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, I'm hopeful of a Vikings win, but I would expect it to be, 35-32, something like that.
Shuttlesworth, how many touchdowns for Thielen, and do you win it?
I think we do win. Much like Sven, I think it's going to be high scoring. I'd like Thielen to match this week and go in for two. Cook's probably not going to play. Thankfully, with Madison there, it won't be a sheer drop-off, I'm hoping. Be interesting to see how the Falcons look under a new head coach and whether Julio is right to go. Because, as we know, a weakness this year has been our young backfield, and with Julio up and about and Ridley looking quite ominous this week, it could be where we fall down again.
Brash, you're up against the Rams. The 49ers are playing the joy that is Jared Goff. Is this a T-tail game for you? Are you expecting a big donut from Nick Mullins, CJ Beathard / Jimmy Garoppolo?
No, what I'm really looking forward to is the fact that this is a Sunday night game, which means I'll be sitting on the week 6 thread, and I'll be just reading all my colleagues on Big Footy just slamming the 49ers for 3.5 hours. The worst thing that it's a pity American Crow's not on here because I'd be able to congratulate him for what a good job he did in not taking Robert Salek off our hands, our defensive coordinator, who was so highly rated last year. But yet I could coach the 49ers defence when I got Bosa and D Ford on the field. And what he did, leaving that kid out there by himself, one-on-one, off the first ever NFL start, making, Fitzpatrick just literally throwing up moonballs for wide receivers to catch. This could get, it'll go one way. It'll get very, very ugly, or the 49ers will show a little bit of grit and pull out a very tight, a 14-10 win or something like that. It'll either be 14-10 or 65-7, something like that.
Follow-up question was going to be, will Brandon Allen start or finish the game?
But, Brandon Allen is no longer on the roster. We have already, from what I understand, taken a kid that's pretty highly rated off the Bucks practice squad. So we'll throw him out on an island by himself this week.
Speaking of the Bucks practice squad, Aussiedude, your mob's up against the Tom Brady Experience, which is like a rock band from the 1950s. Is the clash of the two old men in Rodgers and Brady going to result in a resolution of the greatest of all time?
Oh, probably not anymore. If it happened a few years ago in a Super Bowl, sure, but look, I'd be a lot more confident about this game if it was in Green Bay, simply because I've lived through enough seasons where I've seen us travel down to Florida or even Los Angeles and, get stuck in a game that's in the 70s or 80s and just fall apart because we don't seem to handle the heat.
Aaron, what's
there's
that?
One that
That's a
sticks
sun.
There's one that sticks in my mind. I think it was Roger's first year as a starter. Bucks wore out those terrible creamsicle uniforms.
I'm throwing up in my mouth a bit.
Yep, so am I. And it was about a mid-season game against the Bucks quarterback, who at the time I think was maybe Josh Johnson, if people remember back to like 2009, and they just absolutely beat us down.
God,
so yeah, I have terrible memories. We've lost like the Dolphins down there, and we've had to beat the Dolphins on like a fake spike. I just hate Florida games.
Mate, you're a man after my own heart. You remember the beatdowns better than you do the good wins.
I remember them both.
I remember the beatdown. For some reason, the beatdowns just never ever get erased from my memory. Right. But anyway, I can barely remember Jerry Rice, but I can remember some of the crap that was put out there. I can remember every pass of JT O'Sullivan as our quarterback.
Shuttlesworth, the clash of the 1-4 Titans.
Sorry, just before you do that, BPG, sorry, mate.
You're the one that said 5 minutes.
Yeah, but this is a really remarkable. You love bringing all the meaningless stats up. Let me give you one that really was remarkable. I can't believe it's only the third time ever that Rodgers is going up against Brady.
Yeah, I was going to ask how many times they've played each other.
It's their third time, and if you think about it,
that includes
all
playoff
time.
games.
All time.
Is it the third? Because one of the times we played the Patriots, Rodgers was injured, and it was the Matt Flynn game where he almost brought us back, and the Patriots had a offensive lineman return a kick about 35, 40 yards.
Yeah, if Flynn hadn't started that game, there would have been 4. But because Rodgers was hurt and Flynn started, there's only been 3. It is one of those weird stats where there are backup quarterbacks for both teams that have played each other more than Rodgers and Brady.
Yeah.
You know?
And he had to go to Tampa. He had to go to Tampa Bay for them to get their third rubber up.
Well, that's what happens when you come to a weird city.
A yearly schedule about 15 years ago and back in the old NFC Central.
Central. Such a stupid division. Shuttlesworth, the clash of the 1-4 Titans, the Lions versus the Jaggers. Did the Jaggers get a win? Does Matt Patricia get sacked?
That's a tough one. It's in Jacksonville, so you might give them the edge, but I don't know. As weird as it might sound, I'm a bit of a Stafford fan, even though he's in the same division. But
all right, you're off the podcast. You're never coming back again.
I think I'll lean towards the Lions just because of Stafford and Adrian Peterson.
Spoken like a true Vikings fan. Sven, I know you're good mates with American Crow. His mighty Browns on their totally awesome but entirely unsustainable winning streak come up against Big Ben and the fat Pittsburgh Steelers. Who's going to win that one?
Yeah, look, it has to be the game of the week. The division game between Cleveland and Pittsburgh. We can all remember certain things happening last year and stuff like that. So
Miles Garrett will have his helmet super glued to his head?
Yeah, I would expect so. But, yeah, look, I can't see the Browns winning. But saying that means they probably go into Pittsburgh with less pressure than normal. So, look, you'd have to give Pittsburgh, favourite status. But, yeah, it's definitely a game that I'll be following on Monday because, I just want to see how the evolution of Cleveland is under Stefanski this year, whether or not the game follows a similar route to previous years where, Cleveland have just been overmatched, or whether or not it's going to be a competitive game. So, I don't know. But
would you trot Mason Rudolph out there for a series just to, unsettle him?
That super glue is not going to be strong enough to hold the helmet on Garrett's head, I don't reckon.
Yeah, look, maybe, look, just trot Rudolph out for kneel down in the victory formation at the end of the game or something like that. I don't know.
And watch Garrett get suspended for the next 3 seasons, yeah.
Yeah.
Brash, because I know you're an expert in the Cardinals, because they're such a team of yours that you follow. We have Kyler Murray coming up against Red Rifle in Andy Dalton, hosted in Dallas on what is currently Monday Night Football. Is that game going to be more exciting than the other Monday Night Football game, which is Chiefs-Bills?
No. I'm looking forward to the Chiefs-Bills game because I want to see if the Chiefs are in a slump or for real, and I want to see how good the Bills go. I want to see Allen play against a not-so-good defence this week. Because I really enjoy his quarterback play. So I'll be watching that. I don't watch the Cowboys at the best times. And I can't stand watching Kyler Murray run around like a schoolyard kid that's lost his lunch money. I as you know, I'm old school, and I just can't get excited about Kyler Murray as a quarterback. You know, I'm not playing Madden.
But Brash, Andy Dalton.
I know. Best looking red-headed quarterback in the league. I know all that, but look, Dalton will go. I'm keen to see how I always had a bit of a soft spot for Dalton when he was a Bengal, especially when the Bengals were okay. But
for that one game in 1927, yeah.
No, but he's a perfect. But as someone said before, he's the perfect Cowboys quarterback because he'll just come up. He'll look good, but come up short. So, no, I'm more interested in the Chiefs Bills game.
Aussie dude, is this finally the week? Finally the week in an entirely appropriate fashion that Adam Gase gets sacked after playing the Dolphins?
I don't think so. If they do, I hope they do it at the airport. Although then he's left in Miami, so he might enjoy that. I don't think that there's much worse he could do to stay. I don't know what he needs to do to get fired, actually, because how he kept his job at the end of last year is absolutely shocking, which, you could have just as easily said about Quinn. I think it's just a lot of teams.
Apparently, Adam Gase has kept his three condos in Miami, even when he's based up in New York. So you could argue if they do take him to Miami, play the Dolphins, and then sack him, they're doing him a favour. They're saving themselves on the relocation cost.
A return ticket. Would you say that the fact that he won out in the Bell pissing contest, that maybe his tenure is not that tenuous?
Can you imagine a Trevor Lawrence being coached by Adam Gase?
Well, if it doesn't really matter what we imagine, it's what the ownership of the Jets think. It's no secret that Bell was not a choice of Gase. That Gase didn't want to pay that much to a running back. Bell has now been released outright, and Gase is still there.
Yeah.
Right. If you were going to get rid of Gase, wouldn't you keep Bell on the payroll for a little bit longer, given how much he costs you against salary cap, and wait until the new coach comes in to work out whether he wants to work with Bell or not?
Or at least try to trade him. Try to trade him Bell for a 7th round pick.
I'm not sure how they couldn't even get a 7th round. I just fear that Bell's going to end up in the NFC North. I just have a weird feeling that he's just going to end up in there somewhere.
Then?
I can't see Le'Veon Bell actually getting with any team this year, but to me, it beggars why you would cut someone when their salary for the entire year is guaranteed. And, obviously something has gone dramatically wrong, or maybe there's like a suspension coming up or something like that people don't know about yet. But what is Gase doing? Why wouldn't you just keep him on the team? At least you've got a backup.
Yeah, and exactly. And the fact that ownership let Gase do that suggests to me that Gase isn't on tenterhooks with his management. Yeah, because it's clear that the disruption was between Bell and Gase, right? So Gase is allowed to get rid of Bell, unless the ownership is saying, screw yous, I'm getting rid of both of you. Gase, get rid of him, and then I'll get rid of you. That's the only thing I can think of. Yeah?
I don't see what the ownership's seeing in Gase, though, because you can't say, oh, look, things are going okay on field, we'll stick with him, see what happens. Anyone who is above mediocre or considers himself above mediocre can't get along with him and refuse to play for him. And then you have a fan base that supports a player that's been cut more than the organisation, and they're calling out the organisation. And there was, numerous posts on social media of fans apologising to Le'Veon Bell for how the Jets treated him and how this all played out. It's crazy.
Yeah, Le'Veon could have gone out in the back streets behind the practice facility, shot Adam Gase's dog, absolutely destroyed Adam Gase's car, and set fire to Adam Gase's personal records, and the fans would still be apologising, Le'Veon. Hey, we're so sorry you got released. That was a beautiful, even fire that you set with all those records. And the way you smashed that car, that was a thing of art. It just reflects the hatred that Gase is generating from the fan base. Nobody really knows why Bell got released, what was behind the scenes. My hot take on it, and you got to remember, Joe Douglas is a Philly guy, just been appointed as general manager by the same ownership group. I think Douglas is setting Gase up big time. Well, you told us to release Bell, so we did. You told us to stick with Sam Darnold, so we did. You told us to keep this guy as our defensive coordinator, so we did. I get to the end of the year, we still suck, you're gone as coach. That's my sense of it. I think it's Joe Douglas letting him hang himself, but maybe that's me being a little bit
But you've
cynical.
let Adams go and Bell go, and you're ruining Darnold. Like, you've got to see that the longer it goes on.
Yeah, I know. That's a very expensive way. Nobody in the world, if he got fired tomorrow or last week or 3 weeks ago, if the Jets ownership said, Gase, you're gone, there's not going to be people storming MetLife Stadium to reinstate him, right?
Oh, God, no.
Right? So,
No.
so there's no... whilst your take on it on setting someone up to fail is valid, but you only ever do that when you know you're going to cop a lot of criticism. If you don't, there's no gain in waiting to the end of the year. All they're doing is it's going to cost them $30 million to do it.
But sorry, I probably wasn't clear enough. What I'm saying is I think Joe Douglas knows that at the moment, if he was to go to ownership and say, you got to fire Gates, I need a different coach, they probably wouldn't take his word for it. But if Joe Douglas keeps feeding Adam Gase, oh, you want to do that? Sure, you go ahead and do that. Oh, sure, you want to do... Then at the end of the season, or even maybe it might take till halfway through next season, Joe Douglas can turn around to the ownership group and say...
When he's got Lawrence in his... They start screwing up Lawrence as well.
Well, and that's my point. I mean, if I'm the ownership, and I think this is what a lot of Jets fans are petrified about, they'll get a really high draft pick. They'll pick somebody, whether it's Lawrence or one of the other top-rated players, and they'll screw him up the same way they screwed up Darnold. And then what are they going to do?
Yeah, that if it takes that extent to get the point across to the ownership group, it's not going to matter who's coaching, who's playing. That organisation is just stuffed. And
I don't want to be a GM of an organisation that I have to slash and burn to prove to somebody that I've got something wrong in my organisation.
It's a very negative internal politics, and that's the point.
Well, the GM better be careful because he could get swept out with Gase as well if he plays that.
Absolutely,
game. Right.
Absolutely.
So
maybe they're thinking if Gase gets sacked, that they'll actually have a competent head coach and show something and lose their chance at pick one.
Yeah. There is a certain guy out there who could be the coach and the GM.
Oh, got a few picks to trade since they've got the Seahawks first as well.
And in a lot of ways, if they did put Billy O'Brien in as coach and general manager, one advantage you'd have is there's no DeAndre Hopkins for him to trade away for butter and bread. No, I think they have much to trade away.
I think they're all going in on Parcells to come back. Parcells next year.
Haven't they heard that COVID affects people over 30?
And he's going to bring Belichick over with him.
Now that makes sense. Last game of the week that I wanted to talk about, because Blacky's not here. Sven, Broncos are playing the Patriots in New England. Is this the game when the Patriots get held scoreless for 3 quarters and then smash the Broncos in the last quarter and wind up winning by 5 touchdowns?
No. I would expect this will be. I don't think it's even going to be close. Like, are the Broncos coming off a bye?
Yep.
Yeah.
Thursday night. Oh, no, it was the week before, sorry.
At least the Broncos are rested, I suppose. But the New England this year just shows how good Belichick is as a coach, right? They're a team of no names, and they're still competitive in the NFL. If it was any other coach in the NFL, the Patriots would be would have no wins at all. And I can't see Denver beating New England at all. As much as I hate saying that, I'm a Patriots hater from way back, but I can't see them winning.
All right, really quickly round the group, starting with Aussiedude. You're Steve DeBerg nominee, please, for week 6.
Actually, just not knowing why you're not going to do your team. Your Philadelphia Eagles with their 7,000 fans hosting the Ravens.
I haven't finished yet. I was going to come back to my tip for the wide receiver of the week, but given you're prompting me, I'll go there. Wentz will get sacked 12 times. They'll start Jalen Hurts in the second half. He'll get sacked 12 times. And Fulgham will have 11 receptions. Just quietly, Fulgham is an absolutely outstanding surname because it's only one letter off my surname. But anyway, we won't talk about that. The Eagles are a dumpster fire. The only team that's in a worse position in the entire NFL going forward than them is Texas. And arguably, Texas at least have Deshaun Watson and J.J. Watt. What else do you want me to say? We're in for years of pain in Philly. We're going to be the worst team in the NFC East for the next 4 years at least. And it's all entirely self-inflicted less than 3 years after we won the Super Bowl. And there's not very many teams that can say that. Probably the Jaguars are probably the only other.
Hey, are we recording a new podcast, or are we just replaying the last 5 weeks of them?
At least I'm consistent, Brash. At least I'm consistent.
We've gone nearly 4 hours, and I was wondering, we're going to get through this without a rip about the Eagles tonight. Like, mate, you're half a game out of leading your division. Settle down.
It's and I'm sorry. All right. You've got me back on the right way of thinking. We play in the 8th best division in football.
Correct.
And we're the 31st best team in football. Yes.
Yeah.
Until the Jets sack Adam Gase, at which point we become the 32nd best team in football.
Yeah.
So quickly,
you're going to get the 4th seed in the NFC playoffs, and you'll be ranked 31st in the Fox power rankings at the same time. There's a stat for you.
And you know the best part about all of that? The best part about all of that is that our draft pick will drop about 6 picks as a result. Anyway, so Aussiedude, Steve DeBerg, nominee of the week from round 5 from the completed games, and a pick of the week for Steve DeBerg, nominee for week 6, please.
You'll have to come back to me. I'll have to have another think about it.
Brash?
For week 5.
Don't feel restricted to only talk about 49ers quarterbacks, mate.
I was going to nominate Alex Smith, ex-quarterback. Alex Smith, the DeBerg Award for week 5.
That's not bad, actually. I could live with that. He's setting the stage for a quarterback in Washington to go to the Super Bowl. Who's your pick for week 6?
Foles.
Yeah, that's not bad. Got to agree with that. Shuttlesworth, who you got? Who was your performer from week 5 for the DeBerg Award?
I was going to go with Garoppolo, but it seems a bit harsh given what he might have been dealing with. So I might nominate old Philippe Rivers for that performance.
Oh, I like that.
Because maybe Jacoby will come back in with a little fire in his belly and say, you made the wrong call.
He'll win week 6.
Oh, no, hey, hang on. Prediction here. Jacoby comes back in at halftime in week 6 and takes them all the way through to the Super Bowl. I like Nick Foles.
And wins the DeBerg Award next week.
Yeah.
Sven, who have you got?
Are we talking about a quarterback that is setting the scene for next year or for next
year? The idea behind the DeBerg Award is it's not given to somebody that just sucks. Otherwise, we'd call it, I don't know, the Manziel Award or the Jamarcus Russell Award. It's given to somebody that plays for a lot of different teams and sets the scene for who comes next.
Yeah, look, although you can only just call him a journeyman because he's only on his second team, but Andy Dalton is my nominee. He's definitely setting the table for the future quarterback in Dallas, whoever that might be.
And arguably, that's a really good pick, because if they do take somebody else in next year's draft, with the offensive weapons, you could see that whoever that rookie is being in the Super Bowl in their first year in the league, arguably. So, Aussie dude, you thought about it a bit. Who you got?
It'd be pretty hard to go past, the Phillip Rivers with the safety intentional grounding. But I'd probably just stick with him. And for next week, I probably would have agreed with Brissett, but I might go and pick RG3. I'm just thinking that Baltimore will have it by halftime, bench Jackson, and just send RG3 out to, pick off the scabs and stuff in the Eagles.
I'm a bit disappointed nobody picked Fitzmagic from week 5, because he's the ultimate journeyman quarterback that sets people up to do better. But the one I
he ends up better than them.
He's got a job to do this week. He's got to get rid of Gase, so we don't want to jinx him.
Yeah, but that's this week. Last week was the award nominee. The one I'm going to nominate from week 5 though is the truly outstanding and ultimately well-deserving Matt Barkley. So far, Matt Barkley's career.
He's still in the league.
He is still in the league, and he played snaps in week 5, and his career almost exactly mirrors that of DeBerg, in not so much in the starting games, but that he left the Eagles, and the next year the Eagles won the Super Bowl, and he went to the Ravens and they went into the Super Bowl, and then he went to the Chiefs and they went into the Super Bowl, and so on and so forth. Now, he's only been on practice squads for some of those teams, but it's phenomenal when you track his practice, his movements. He has bounced from team to team, and every time he leaves, the team just goes through a surge of success. So he's my nominee from week 5, and I think for week 6, it's really, really hard to go past Andy Dalton as the nominee for week 6. So I'll stick with those ones.
Cool.
Thank you for the podcast, gentlemen. Was there anything, Sven, that you wanted to add before we wrap up for the week?
Oh, no, I didn't make a week 6 prediction, but I'd put Teddy Bridgewater, now that he's with his 4th team, as
that's not a bad pick. Yeah,
my Steve DeVerg nominee for week 6. But thanks for inviting me. I've had a great time.
Oh, mate, it's been fantastic to have you on. We want you back later in the year too, if you'll come back.
Well, we'll see about that.
Shuttlesworth?
No, I'm all good. Yeah, thanks for having me on again.
And I promise this episode, unlike the previous episode you appeared on about a month ago, this one won't wind up unreleased. I promise you this one will make it out.
That's all good. I understand.
I might have to edit you out of the entire episode, but it'll make it out. Aussie dude, thank you for filling in. You got any last comments you want to make?
Probably just that I think that the COVID delay for the Denver-New England game might be a bit of a blessing in disguise, because it might mean we now get Cam Newton and Drew Lock at QB instead of Brian Hoyer and Brett Rippon.
That is, I think that's probably been engineered by the NFL. We cannot throw this product out to the public. You mean that everyone is sitting at home on Thursday night and this is the product we're throwing out? So I reckon that's a really good point.
Brash, any last words?
No, mate. I will be doing, so I apologise for no Mussings last week. There will be one tomorrow.
Hanging out for it, mate. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll talk to you later on.
All right.